is best known as the face and founder of Arsenal Fan TV, but now AFTV, and he's also the CEO of Global Fan Network, which is a multi-sport media company with interests in, I think it's darts, is it, or boxing, F1, general football, not just Arsenal. And he's a very high-profile pundit in the UK, appearing on TalkSport, BBC, ITV regularly. So we'll start with a round of applause for Robbie. So when I was doing my research, I had a look at your Wikipedia page first, generally. But you started your sort of career as a civil servant, and then became a surveyor and a part-time MC. Take us through that sort of journey from school kid to grow up in Luton, all the way to sitting here now.
Long journey. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I used to do music, reggae music. I was, as you said, I was a reggae MC. I wasn't too bad at it either, I think. I did a tune that went to #1 in the UK reggae charts. I used to do a bit of touring with it as well around Europe. I appeared on Reggae Sunsplash in Jamaica. My parents are Jamaican. And yeah, that was sort of like, I used to be heavily into music, do a lot of stuff to do with music. When that sort of, the music career kind of sort of came to an end, I had to get a proper job, right? So, but yeah, I worked in the civil service, and then I worked as a building surveyor. And but then I was getting itchy feet again, because I'm kind of a person, I always sort of like to work for myself, probably a bit of an entrepreneur, I guess. And I'm a lifelong Arsenal fan. I've been going to watch Arsenal all my life. Used to have a season ticket at Highbury, and I just wanted to sort of start a platform that would give fans a chance to have their say on the club that we love. So that's how I got into the AFTV. But in my early life, it was music, was the big thing. Music and football.
And so you started AFTV, you said you saw that itch for entrepreneurialism. Was it a sort of, you thought that this could be, this is now your career? You said 24 employees at Global Fan Network.
23.
23.
Yeah.
Was it always something that you saw as a business, as a career, or was it started off on the side and it just sort of morphed into it?
Yeah, listen, when I first started it, you start something and you hope it will be big. You're dreaming that it will be big, but to be honest, like when I started, it was just me and a cameraman. It was started off really, really small. We borrowed equipment. We went down to the ground and we just started interviewing fans. And at that stage, I just wanted to, it was predominantly on YouTube, and I didn't even know where I wanted to take it to. I just wanted to build something that was going to be really good, that a lot of people would enjoy, a lot of people would watch, and it was my passion, because my passion is football, my passion is Arsenal, so I was just like, if I can build something out of this would be really, really great. I didn't think it would be as big as it is today, if I'm being honest. I didn't think I'd be talking at places like this. I was just really focused upon the football aspect of it. So, it's become, over the years, it's just grown and grown and grown, and it's become what it is today.
So, the thing that sort of strikes me with not just AFTV, but all of your sort of media production, is it's sort of fan-led. It's the real focus on the fan. And you were saying earlier about how that was always something that the big channels, Sky, TalkSport, had always neglected. Have you seen that, with your rise, have you seen a lot of your techniques, your approaches sort of seep basically back into the traditional players?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's funny enough, I was at the game yesterday, Arsenal was playing Tottenham. Anybody know what the result was? I've actually had a great week because we played Chelsea as well. Anyone know what that? Not sure if anybody knows what that result was either, but that was, I've had a good week, right? So that's why I've got a big smile on my face. But yeah, no, it was interesting. I was at the game yesterday, and Talk Sport were down there interviewing fans after the game. I was thinking, oh, okay, right, because that's one of the things they used to have a go at me for back in the day. So I've seen a lot of, platforms, adopting, the sort of methods that we use. It's about a month ago I gave a talk at a BBC staff away day for all of their football staff. That's all their staff who do work on Match of the Day or who work on BBC Radio 5 Live, talking about how we engage with fans on our platform. So I think, just the same way I learn a lot off of them. I learn a lot off of Sky, I learn a lot off of watching BBC and the techniques they use. I think now they're looking at us and they're learning a lot off of us, and that's great because, it wasn't always that way when we first started, We was heavily criticised sometimes. We were sort of looked upon as, what these guys, who are they, sort of thing. So it's kind of flattering to see. I don't feel, I feel good about it when I see these, really huge media platforms adopting a lot of the methods and the things that we do.
So people don't want to hear from me anymore. We're actually going to go straight to questions.
Okay.
Could you state your name and minutes for the college? I think we should have about an hour and 20 for questions. So we start off right from.
Hi, Robbie.
How you doing?
Mac from South College. I just wanted to ask, obviously I've been watching AFTV from the banter years, and I remember whether it's God's, Wenger, it's time to go, or the bad evenings under Unai Emery. And I remember all of it, and I think all of those clips had a huge impact on whether it's YouTube or any other social media space like Instagram and Twitter. But what I wanted to ask was, do you feel that the effect that Arsenal Fan TV has had on the club has been positive in a way where actually the owners now have to listen because there's a singular conduit for the fans to air their concerns and raise their voices, so the owners are sort of forced to listen when you give average fans like something like DD.
Yeah, I feel that like our platforms helped in it. I wouldn't say we were the only, when you say single conduit, I wouldn't say we're a single conduit. I think there's a lot of the way in which social media is now. Any fan can have their say, even on their own platform. So collectively, the football clubs will hear what the fans are thinking, and I think we saw that. If I even take it beyond Arsenal, I think we saw that when when they were trying to do the Super League, that collectively fans right across the Premier League, right across the country, were very angry about it and voiced their opinions on it. And the football clubs had to make a big U-turn on something that they were definitely going to do. So I think we've helped in that, with our platform, because definitely, when we was doing videos, they did get heard. Fans were heard. Videos doing millions of views. So yeah, I think we have helped in that aspect. But I wouldn't say it's just us. There are many platforms and there are many people doing videos in which I think it's a good thing that clubs they should listen to their fans. Their fans are without fans you don't have a football club. So it's very important that a football club listens to its fans. We don't always get things right. A lot of us as Arsenal fans didn't think Kai Havertz was a good signing. How wrong were we all? So we're not always right, but it's good to listen to what fans have got to say.
Next question. Gent at the back over there.
Hi, I'm Hugo
Hi.
from Grey College. So related to that question, no one's going to deny channels such as yours the right to voice the concern and opinions of fans. But would you have to say when people such as Gary Neville, Hector Bellerin and Simon Jordan call out channels such as yours, but also the United Stand, as being problematic in increasing online abuse and hatred towards players?
I think increasing online abuse and hatred towards players, if they accuse us of that, that's ridiculous. I've never actually heard them say that about online online abuse. Sorry, I've heard them. Listen, I've heard them say a lot of other things, and I have been criticised. And our platform been criticised by all of those people that you said there. But as I said, now you see like a lot of them adopting what we do. I've been on Gary Neville's overlap many times, and that is a platform where he has lots of fans on it, engaging with fans. So, listen, when we first came around, we were new. We were doing something that was completely different. Nobody had done it before. And when you're new, and when you're doing something different, and when it's growing, you know what I mean, especially in an industry like media, which has been done in a traditional way for a very long time, you're going to attract a lot of criticism, you know what I mean? You're like a new kid on the block. You're doing stuff that, you know, maybe some people feel a bit threatened by. But I back what we do, you know what I mean? I think we give fans an opportunity to have their say, and some fans are going to voice their opinion strongly, and, you know what I mean, you've got to allow them to do so as long as it's done in a respectful way.
Next question. Gentleman back.
Matthew, St Mary's. Given that you're so passionate, as I am, about how fans should have influence over how a club is run and big decisions like the Super League and stuff, do you have any specific opinions on how the ownership structure of clubs in England should be changed? Maybe be something a bit more like Germany, or even, you know, because I think Germany one extreme one way or the other, and that's definitely not a good thing. So do you have any ideas about how that could be fixed to involve fans?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, listen, the German system, which is, you know, where the fans own 51%, I kind of like that system, I ain't going to lie. I think it is a good system. And, you know, I've been to a lot of games in Germany, and they get excellent crowds. You know, they'll have things like free travel to the game on a match day for football fans. And I really do think they get a lot of things right in Germany. Unfortunately, all that stuff's too late for us, right? Because, you know, the system's different over here. We've already got all these owners that have come in with big money. But what I would like to see them do is what we're saying here: engage with fans more, speak to fans more. You know what I mean? We've seen football clubs in the past change kits without consulting with the fans, change badges that, you know, may look like, you know, if you're an owner coming from abroad, may seem like something minor to them, but when you've got a team that's had a heritage that goes back over 100 years and you just come in and change their badge or change the colour of their kit, like what the owner of Cardiff did that time, changing it from blue to red, you know, those things really upset the fans. So it's all about engaging with fans, speaking with them, having a good relationship with them, because if you have a good relationship with the fans of the club, they're more likely to back you. They're more likely to back you in changes you're going to make. But if you try to just do everything without bringing them along, it's going to be the opposite effect.
Next question. Right in front.
Francis, Coach said he wants a bead. Do you have any predictions for the upcoming Euros?
Listen, I would love to see England win it. I remember I predicted England would win the World Cup, and they didn't. And so, I don't know if I should make a prediction. I mean, I was saying to the guys earlier, we went to dinner, and I was saying I was at that game when Harry Kane missed that penalty, right? And I remember I said to the guy next to me, I said, listen, nailed on. He never misses, right? And then he went and lofted it over the bar. I was like, he never done that when he was playing against us. You know? But no, I think England have got a great chance of winning it. There's some good teams in it, though. France are a good side. You know, you can see the players they've got. Portugal, that's another really, really good side that a lot of people are not even talking about. Spain have got a good side. Germany are playing at home, and they've started to pick up now. So it's not going to be easy. I'm a little bit worried about Gareth Southgate, right? Because, do you know what it is with me? I'm really mixed on him. On the one aspect, I think he's done an excellent job, because you've got to remember where we were before he came in. The England football team was all over the place. And he's come in and he's got us to semi-finals and quarter-finals and things like that. And he's got us back, you know, and he's brought through lots of young players like Saka and Bellingham and all these guys. But I just wonder sometimes if when it comes to making those key brave decisions, is he too safe? Is he too conservative in the way he does football? So I'm going to predict that we don't win it, and hopefully I'm wrong, right? But I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to it. You know what I mean? I think we've got a great chance.
Gentleman at the front.
Josh
Yeah.
from the Mighty Hill Bede. There can be little doubt that your organisation in the past has had its fair share of controversy, especially during the Arsene Wenger days. My question to you is, how do you deal with hostility, and do you think Arsenal Fan TV thrives on controversy?
No, listen, how I deal with hostility is, I've learned to deal with it over the years, you know what I mean? It's not always easy, you know, because you'll get accused of stuff that you haven't done, you'll get, I mean, it's not always easy. But for me, how I deal with hostility is just stay focused on what I'm trying to do, which is with AFTV and with DR Sports as well, my other platform, I'm trying to build a fan-led platform that's going to turn, will become a major media company, which I think we kind of have already. So I'm focused upon that. And controversies that we've had, we've had some controversies in the past, but again, I think that what's made us so good over the years is that we're consistent. We're at every game when it comes to AFTV. We're always interviewing fans. I don't think there's any platform that exists that interviews as many fans as we do. You only got to look at the game yesterday, and our consistency is what makes us shine. I mean, I've been doing this now for over 12 years. It's not how we just started, And, there's people saying, oh, yeah, this is making up a little rabble. They'll be gone in a year. They'll be back the next year and the next year. And we speak about what's happening, at the time. So, like, some of those people who accuse us of the controversies in the past, who said, oh, when Arsene Wenger was there, you guys were against him. Well, we weren't. We were just allowing fans to have their say. And as time sort of went by, unfortunately, because I was a massive Arsene Wenger fan, unfortunately, fans kind of wanted him to leave and wanted to move on to a new manager. But I don't hear a lot of those people talking now, when we're doing really, really well. We're still here, we're still doing videos, we're still getting major views. And a lot of those people who used to say, oh, well, you're only doing it for views, you're trying to make money off of if you lose games and that, where are they now? Last 2 seasons we've been challenging for the league. Don't hear them. And that's because, for me, I always knew what we're doing. I block out that noise because I know we're always there consistently creating good content and for the fans in the UK and around the world. So that's how I deal with it.
Hey, James, Grey College. I'm a Palace fan. I've been doing it for about 12 years now. Anyone who's been to Selhurst Park knows it's fairly old school grounds. It's
proper old school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sainsbury's FC. Sorry, I have to get that dig in. Sorry.
Obviously, as an Arsenal fan who's been doing since Highbury days, do you think the move to the Emirates has been a good thing, or if given the opportunity, you return to the Highbury now?
No, you know what? Like, this is an argument that we have amongst Arsenal fans all the time. I loved Highbury, but I do understand why we moved. You've got to move with the times. Highbury, it was too small. It's 39,000. It's surrounded by houses. You can't really build it up any bigger. You can't expand out. We needed a new ground. I think what's annoyed Arsenal fans over the years is that we were sort of sold a bit of a dream. It's like, we moved to this new stadium, we're going to compete with teams like Bayern Munich. And we moved to the new stadium, we're getting pumped 5-1 by Bayern Munich. It was like, hell no, isn't it? And we saw that we really had to suffer over the years because we had to finance, to finance that stadium. We are now competing with Bayern Munich, even though we lost to them the other day. It was a very, very tight game, And they only just got beyond us. So, but I do feel sometimes you have to move. Like, I go to Crystal Palace. I always enjoy going Palace's ground. But let's be real, it needs to upgrade. If Palace had a ground of, say, 50,000, they'd fill it. Their ground at the moment holds probably about 30,000. And it is a bit old. It's starting to show its wear. So it needs a new ground. So you can't have the same ground that you had in the 60s in, 2024. We've got to move on. So, so there is but then there is the nostalgia of the old grounds. I guess it's how, when you move into that new stadium, again, how do you engage with the fans so that you still keep the atmosphere that you had. Those are some of the failings that Arsenal had when they moved into the new stadium. They didn't, I feel, talk enough to the fans to sort of say to them, right, how do we keep that sort of vibe and that, you know, what we had at Highbury. They just kind of moved into a brand new stadium, brand new, and almost like start again, and then that sort of made a lot of the fans who were at Highbury a bit disgruntled. So as long as you move in the right way, you bring the fans along with you, I think fans will understand, you know, because if you're we've got to move with the times now. We've got to. I mean, I was at Tottenham yesterday. I hate to say it, but they do have a really, really good ground. You know what I mean? And one of the only grounds that you can go to in the Premier League, you can actually take your phone out and you've got like decent Wi-Fi and you can get reception on your phone. Little things like that annoy me when I go to other grounds. How is it in 2024 that if you wanted to do an Instagram story, you can't in most grounds because you can't get no internet? If you had an emergency call from someone, you couldn't take it because you can't get no internet. And then like I'll speak to people at some of these grounds and say, well, hold on, now, come on, I can't get no internet in the ground. Oh, Robbie, because 60,000 people are in here and they're all using their phones at once. I go, yeah, well, at a stadium in America in the summer, perfect internet. There's 80,000 people there. Why? So we've got to move with the times. So, and I think Palace do need a new stadium. I don't know what you think, but I think you do. But it's just got to bring the fans with them when they're building it.
Next question.
Hi, Moe, St. Eden's College. Which game do you think City still draw points in for us to win the league?
Oh, man. You know, I thought Forest could possibly make them, and then that Chris Wood yesterday, I was still angry about it. Trust me, man. Those two chances he missed in that game, it's still... But I don't know if City are going to drop points. Could it be Spurs? Because, funny enough, Tottenham have got a good record against Man City, so could it be them? But all of their fans were telling me yesterday that they'd rather lose that game than us win the title. So, I don't know, man. Listen, you don't know. All Arsenal can do is stay in the fight, which we are. Well, I think we're doing brilliant at the moment. That was a really tough game to go away to Tottenham yesterday. You know, on paper, the last week, Chelsea and Tottenham, two teams that desperately don't want us to win the league. We've negotiated both of those. I feel that all we can do is just win our games to the end of the season, and we never know, because a few weeks ago everybody was saying that Liverpool are the favourites. Liverpool have got the easiest run in. They got beaten by Palace, which was a real shock. They got beaten at home to Atalanta. That was a real shock. You know, and then they drew with West Ham. You really don't know, man. We just got to stay in it. And the thing that's pleasing to me is just seeing my team in a title fight right till the end. You know what I mean? It's been brilliant.
Look at the back.
Having seen what happened with Eden Hazard's career, he ended arguably 5 years early. Do you think the FA or refereeing bodies have any more responsibility to protect players like Saka, who are arguably intentionally fouled?
Yeah, Saka gets fouled a lot, I tell you. Like, yeah, I think you do. I mean, there are some players that get fouled a lot. I do think that it's a lot better now, though, than it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I was young and I used to watch football, players used to just kick lumps out of other players and not even get a yellow card for it. So I think there is a bit more protection for players now. But yeah, Hazard, even though he's always a forward in the side of Arsenal, he did retire way too early, and, you know, unfortunately, injuries is part of the game. It's a part of the game, unfortunately.
Stefan, Grey College. In your opinion, will Man City ever get the points deduction that they probably should get?
They got some good lawyers, man. They got some good lawyers. I mean, do you know what? I can't see how they're going to get away with all the charges. 115 charges. I don't know, man. It's like, if they're guilty of all those charges, I've read some of it, right? And what's been put out there. And if they're guilty of that, by rights they should get relegated. I don't know about taking away trophies they've won, because they've already won them, and I don't know. I'm not too sure if I'm comfortable with that, but certainly if they're guilty of those charges, there needs to be proper sanctions, because you're playing in a league where there's 20 teams in that league and every one of them signs up to the rules, right? And if you've got a team that's, and I'm not saying they have, because, you know what I mean, I know there's a lot of people practicing to be lawyers in the house, right? So you know that I'm not going to commit to saying they've done anything wrong, right? So I'm not saying they have, but if they have broken those rules, they need to have the same sanctions as what would happen to Sheffield United, you know what I mean? It should be no different for any team, no matter how big or small you are, because you're all part of almost like the Premier League is a part of a collective. You're all in this together. You should all be playing by the same rules. And if some of those things are true, what they're saying about it, right? They didn't play by the rules, and then they tried to hide it. So if they're found guilty, they have to have the sanctions same sort of sanctions we've seen with Everton and other teams, but their charges is way more than what we've seen with Everton. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens in the case of Man City. We've seen Juventus get relegated before over in Italy. I don't know, man. I don't know if the Premier League would be, because Man City are now a big part of the Premier League, and you know, I mean, they've won it so many years and got so many star players. Would the Premier League relegate Man City? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But certainly, like me, I wouldn't want to win a league or nothing from then getting like they take the trophy away and they say, right, we're going to give it to Arsenal or give it to Liverpool. I wouldn't want Arsenal to for my or other teams to win it that way. They've already won that, so it would have to be sanctions going forward in my books.
Jump over there.
Lewis, Robbie, who do you think should be the next player to have a statue outside the game?
Anybody who wins us the league this year, man, give him a statue, man. I tell you, give the whole team a statue. You know, if we win the league, because it's been so long, you know. But seriously, I don't know, man, because you know what I think should have a statue outside the Emirates? Ian Wright. I really do think Ian Wright should have a statue outside the Emirates for what he did as a player. He's one of my favourite players when I was a kid. Right, really got me. You know, I just used to love him. And then what he's gone on to do as well, I think, you know, has been a shining example, especially to black people in London. You know what I mean? He's been a shining example. He's like he's an icon. You know what I mean? So I'd love to see a statue of Ian Wright at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Jeremy, St Aidan's College. I appreciate we don't want to get too political here, but we've seen in the House of Commons recently a lot of debate about the independent football regulator. So what are your opinions on current plans, and how do we need to regulate football going forward?
I'm for an independent regulator. The independent, when they were doing the research around it, or they were, you know, seeing whether they want to do it, they got in contact with me. They spoke to me for ages about it. They were asking me lots of questions about, you know, from a fan's perspective of, you know, how fans feel about football. And they were asking me, so I was kind of involved in the process in a little way. And I think it's a good thing to have a football regulator, because we saw with the Super League, as I said earlier, they were going to do it. They were going to do that Super League. It was only because of the backlash, and then, you know, MPs got involved and things like that, and then they just thought, oh no, this is looking bad now. If we go ahead and do this, it's going to look terrible. That's the only reason they didn't do it, because they wanted to do it. And they hadn't consulted with fans. And I think that was a wake-up call for every football fan. And there needs to be more consultation in football between the owners of football clubs, the people who run leagues. You know, there's so many things that happen that, you know, even things like they'll just, at a whim, just change the time of a game. Oh, we've moved that game to 8 o'clock on a Saturday. And it's in Newcastle. Hold on a minute, there's no trains back. So too bad. You know what I mean? Those sort of things, you know what I mean? So I think a football regulator is needed. You see a lot of resistance, I feel, from the leagues, from the Premier League and that, because they don't want it. because they don't want nobody regulating over it. But I do think it is needed. So I hope, and it is coming in. It is coming in. So I think it's a good move. You know, it certainly stops something like a Super League happening again in the future. And I just feel there needs to be consultation with these things, because I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a person, I do move with the times. I do understand that football does have to move. We can't always just look on it and say it has to be the same as it's always been. You know, there do have to be changes, but consult with the people that go and watch it week in, week out. You know, don't just like impose everything upon them, because, you know, without fans there's no football. We saw it during COVID, when they had speakers up in stadiums trying to pump noises of fans cheering and stuff like that, and all the footballers hated it. So fans are so important, you know, as important to football as the players.
Next question. Bloke in the back.
I think we've all seen the memes. Don Robbie with a cigar, Ty complaining about the pitch being wet, and Lee Judges squaring up to his iPhone. But what's your personal favourite memed moment?
Oh my God, man. It's a lot. There's a lot. Every day I see a new one, man. I'm like, my guys will come and on the social media team, they go, Robbie, you seen this one? I'm like, what? What's that? Oh, trust me, there's so many, man. I think my favourite's still got to be the boxing one. You know what I mean? The Sammy Nasri boxing one. I still, you know, but yeah, there's so many, man. But I love them. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people always ask me, oh, what do you think? I love it. I love it, man. It's fun.
Right at the back.
In Society, you mentioned Ian Wright, but I was just wondering who your current favourite Arsenal player is at the moment.
Ooh. Now, I love Saka, right? But I also love Declan Rice. You know what I mean? I think he's been... I've just loved how he's come in and what he's done at the team. I got to meet him a couple of weeks ago as well. Really, really nice guy. So I'd say probably Saka or Declan Rice. Them two I really, really like at the moment. Do you know what I like about this Arsenal team? There's so many players to like right now, you know? Like, they're just... I like all of them, you know what I mean? And I can't say in the past that every single player I felt that way towards, but I do feel that every one of these players in the current squad are really fighting for that badge and really fighting for the fans. So, you know, from I see players doing that, yeah, I'm right behind them.
Over.
No, I was wondering, for like next season, what type of players do you think we need to like go past like Man City?
I think we could. I still think we could do with a striker. I don't know who yet. I still don't know who that striker is. It's who's available as well. I like that Isak at Newcastle. I think he's a great player. But I really don't think Newcastle would sell him, despite what the rumours you hear. But I do think Arsenal could do with a world-class striker, and possibly a left back. But then Jurrien Timber's going to come back, and he's a great player. So I don't think we need a lot, you know. But I just think just add top quality. But for me, striker has to be a priority for Arsenal in the summer.
Not the front row, the second row. There's two of you there that have had hands up for a long time. Yeah.
For Nancy Cuthbert Society, I think what I was wondering is, where do you see the future for like the classic like YouTube fan channels? Do you think going on there's going to be like more of a link between like stereotypical media channels, whether that's like Saturday Social and Sky Sports, or like actual like clubs, or do you think there's still like an opportunity for these like independent channels on YouTube?
I think there's still an opportunity for the independent channels on YouTube. I think though, you're going to get a hybrid. You're going to get sort of like a more media, you know, sort of media based. When I say media based, like, you know, bigger channels. Certainly, we're pushing in that direction at the moment, but it's about keeping that authenticity as well. But I do still feel that you always got space for, you know, one-man bands or guys who are doing, you know, just creators that do it on their own. And there's some great ones out there at the moment, you know what I mean? So I think And it all depends as well, moving forward on the platforms. There's so many different platforms coming in now. I mean, TikTok has seen the emergence of loads of different influencers there doing football. So, I don't know, man, I think it's exciting. I think it's all, I always look at it, it's all linked to how the technology changes. Because technology, as the tech changes, it just allows you to do so much more and to get more and more creative. So as the technology moves forward, I think we're going to see, I mean, one of the big things at the moment is AI. And I think that's going to be a bit of a game changer as well. Like, you know, having the ability, for instance, like for us, for instance, to put videos out in multiple languages, using AI is a bit of a game changer. It means that, you know, you can have content reaching to even further places around the world. So, but I think you're still going to see a mixture of, you know, your sort of media base and your individual creators as well.
And the other person in the second row.
Hi, Ben Swincast as well. Just on the topic of fan passion, do you think that the Saudi League is financially sustainable in the long run? And if so, will it eventually have the potential to surpass the popularity of the biggest European leagues?
See how much money they got? It's definitely financially sustainable, I'll tell you that. Right? And everybody ain't running out soon. I don't think it's going to be it won't be as big as the Premier League and things like that. But I do think they can, you know, remember they're in the early stages. So I do think they can build a league. I remember when I was at the World Cup, I met a lot of fans from Saudi. And they are really passionate about football there. Like, you know, it is a nation that loves football. But it's nowhere near the Premier League and La Liga and leagues like that at the moment. Nowhere near. But it's still young, isn't it? It's still new. So I have to see, I kind of have to see how they grow over the years, you know what I mean? Are they still going to be able to attract some of those big players over there? And also, I think their growth really depends on if people are able to watch it. You know, I mean, how that league's going to grow is not just about watching, just say, Ronaldo play. And you're going to need to know about all the other teams as well. You know what I mean? So I think what they do with TV rights and that's going to be really, really important. You know, because for instance, we don't really watch it, do we? So we can't really get into it if we don't watch it. We just watch the Premier League or La Liga or something like that. So I think until they sort that out, I can't tell you how much it's going to grow, but certainly they've got the money to do it. And they're really targeting, they've got the World Cup in 2030, and they're really targeting having their league right up there by the time they get to that. So they're going to definitely throw a lot of money at it.
Right to the back over there.
Hi, Ryan from Grey College.
Hi.
I was just thinking whether you thought it was feasible in the near future that VAR could become more accountable by either having the refs explaining the decisions live to the fans in the stadium or through some post-game review.
I hope so. Those are simple things you said. Why I don't understand, right, in football, why the referees are not mic'd up. You watch cricket. I was watching an IPL game the other day. The umpires are mic'd up. Can hear what they're saying. Clear decisions. I think with the VAR, it's way. Listen, I'm a supporter of VAR. I do feel we need VAR in football, right? We're in the 21st century now. You watch a game, there's about 100 cameras, different angles. How can you not have VAR? You've got to have it, right? I know they said the other day in Sweden they're not going to have it. I think that's a lot different. Sweden, no disrespect to their league, but it's nowhere near the Premier League. Premier League being watched all over the world with all the cameras. We need VAR to get decisions right. You saw a couple of decisions in the game yesterday, but what I think is wrong with VAR is the way it's used. It's the way it's operated. It's the people who are operating it. I don't think that the people who are in that VAR room should be referees. I think they should be just expert analysts who just, or maybe even some ex-players who become analysts and who can just, you know, because I don't think, you know, a referee, you know, they're all mates. They all work together. No, they are. I mean, I was saying to the guys earlier that I've been at St George's Park I was walking around St George's Park, I walked into this room, and all the referees were in there. And they're all chatting and they all work together, they're all mates, they're all friends. So are you going to want to overturn a bad decision by your mate? You don't really want to, do you? Unless you really have to. You know, we heard Mike Dean saying that when he was a referee, there was one time when he'd seen a decision that should have been overturned that he didn't, because he didn't want to throw his mate under the bus, he said. That's wrong. I mean, so I think some changes need to be made to VAR, and it definitely the referees need to be more accountable. And I think this season we've seen some horrendous decisions with VAR, really, really poor decisions. And I just think it's being used all wrong. So it's definitely, you're right. We need more consultation and more accountability from the referees, 100%.
Over there.
Yeah, Sam, just from college. Just following on from that, what's your opinion on Nottingham Forest's recent spat with PGMOL and mainstream media's reaction?
All right, so it's really interesting because on DR Sports, which is my channel, which is like all football, and we do a show on it called the Weekend Roundup, which is we round up all the weekend's games and we look at it. There's like about 5 fans from different clubs on it. And sort of how we responded to it was different to how mainstream media responded to it. Mainstream media was all like, oh, Nottingham Forest are out of order, shouldn't say that, they're wrong. We were different. We looked at it and we thought, all right, maybe they shouldn't, they may be a bit naughty saying that, kind of implying the refs are cheat, I get that. But the 3 decisions that went against them in that game were horrendous. And I can see why they were annoyed. And I can see why they're asking questions. They were terrible decisions. And everyone was just focusing on what they said, but those decisions could mean they go out of the league. They're only just above Luton now. And they were free, in particular the last one. I think it was a Hudson-Odoi where he was taking... I still can't work out how they won a penalty. The handball in that game, nailed on. So our response was a bit different. We were like, we can see why they've reacted in that way. Maybe they went slightly over the top, but we can see why they reacted in that way. Why were those not penalties? So, and I think a lot of people were saying that. So, yeah, there was a big difference in how we reacted to it. And I think they had mate, should the referee be a Luton fan in the VAR? It sounds a bit dodgy to me. I don't know, if it was Arsenal and I was in the same position as them, I think I'll be asking them questions as well. Is it like the referee's a Tottenham fan or something? I'll be there going, well, why? Hold on a minute. So I think they had every right to ask that. Maybe they should have been a bit more subtle in it, but, I can see their anger.
Right at the back over there.
So I'm a big fan of Tide, and I was wondering how supporters like Tide have managed to build a relationship with you and become regulars on the show.
Just really from Ty, I'll tell you how I met Ty. Ty I met literally when we started AFTV. So second game that we did was away at Aston Villa. I remember it was pouring down with rain that day, so we went on the coach. And when I got on the coach, I said to the coach driver, I said, listen, I go, looking for, we started this new channel and we interview fans about the game and that. And do you reckon there's anybody on the coach we could interview at the end of the game? And he goes, listen, mate, he goes, go to the back of the coach. He goes, there's this black guy there, his name's called Ty. And he goes, and next to him is this big white guy, his name's called Claude. And he goes, them two, he goes, they argue all the way up to the game and they argue all the way back. Right, he goes, so speak to them two. So I said, okay then. So I went down there, right, and then straight away as I seen, I was like, yeah, we got to interview these two at the end of the game. And that's where I met Ty, literally from the second game we did. And like, Ty's just always consistently come on the channel. And it's just been from there, just like, and he's the craziest fan you'll ever meet. You know, he was telling me this morning last week he went to under-16s women's game on a Monday night. I was going, what was the score? He goes, we lost 3-1. But I'm telling you, that guy, he goes to most women's games. All the women players know him. He goes to under 23s, under 18s. Any game he can get to, he goes to. He's nuts, man. I'll tell you, that guy lives and breathes Arsenal Football Club. And he's a really, really nice guy. A bit eccentric, but he's a really, really nice guy. And trust me, what you see, people always say to me, is he really like that all the time? I say, he's worse. You lot didn't see it. He's worse than what you see, right? But I love him. He's a lovely guy. He's got a lovely heart, but he absolutely loves it. Don't go say nothing bad about Arsenal when he's around. Trust me. But yeah, no, that's where I met him. That's where.
Bloke at the front there.
Hi Robbie,
Hi.
from Grey College. Talk about crazy fans. At some point in the Arteta era, there were really, really low points. The majority of Arsenal fans wanted him out, or at least that's what I saw. As a Chelsea fan right now, a lot of Poch out, I'm still Poch in. Obviously, in the end, it was a good decision to keep Arteta in. Do you think there's a point where clubs should ignore the fan sentiment and stick to a long-term plan?
Yeah, I mean, listen, by the way, majority of fans didn't want Arteta out. There were some fans who wanted Arteta out. There were even some fans the other day when we lost to Bayern Munich who said that they still think we should make a change. I mean, that's a minority of fans. And even at that time when you had some fans saying that they wanted Arteta out, I'd say even then, that was when we finished 8th twice, that was a minority of fans. And yes, listen, football clubs have to stick to... Yeah, fans can voice their opinions, but it's up to the owners and the people who make the decisions to stick to what they feel. If I'm being completely honest, when we brought in Mikel Arteta, if you would have done a poll of Arsenal fans and you said, who do you want as the next manager? Hardly any of us would have said Mikel Arteta. But we were all wrong, right? Because he's been a great appointment. You know what I mean? It's just like I was saying to you earlier, when the manager brought in Kai Havertz at the start of the season, a lot of us were sort of like, sure. We weren't saying don't get him, but we was like, £60 million for Kai Havertz. A lot, innit? I mean, he ain't really done it at Chelsea. Now we're all singing 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scored. You know what I mean? So we are a bit fickle fans. Like, I'm not saying that every time we say stuff we're right. I'm just saying that we're right to have a voice. But we're not always... These guys who run these football clubs and the people around, they're experts. So sometimes they got to stick with what they're saying. With the Pochettino thing, it's what they feel. They see him every day. They see him at the training ground. They see what he's doing. They see his plan. If they feel that, he's going to get it right, then they should stick with it. Regardless of, I think sometimes you've got some obvious ones where I'm just like, these owners are crazy. They're not. Like when Everton appointed Rafa Benitez, I'm like, listen, man, these guys, they're crazy. That ain't gonna work. That's no way that Rafa Benitez going to Everton, knowing them Everton fans, they ain't having that. And it didn't work. But sometimes with some of these things, they're the experts. So we're not claiming as fans to be experts. We'll give our opinions. There will be many different opinions in a room, in a ground. We're not always right. They're the experts. They got to stick with, on the Pochettino thing, personally, if it was me, I'd say he deserves probably next season because he's come into a chaotic situation. He hasn't done himself many favours, I don't think, with some of his press conferences and things like that, but he has proved himself to be a decent manager in the past. So, but it's their decision. They have to, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. I mean, I don't really care, the guy is for Chelsea, so. But I think, they listen to fans, but that you don't base all your decisions off of fans. You can listen to them, you can hear what they've got to say. But if you feel that this guy's the right guy for the job, if the players are right behind him and that, you give him a chance.
When taking into consideration Chelsea's huge haul of European silverware
Of course. Arsenal, without a doubt, are the biggest club in London. They're the best supported club in London. They're the best. Probably, I'd say, Arsenal are the third biggest club in this country, behind Manchester United and Liverpool. Chelsea have done well. They spent a lot of money. They got a lot of trophies really quick. But I'm telling you, as a worldwide club, Arsenal are bigger. Bigger history. They've won more things. Yeah, Chelsea have won the European trophies, but Arsenal are a much bigger club. Just like Man City are really successful at the moment, but they're not bigger than Man United. No chance. You know, so Arsenal are the biggest club in London. I've been abroad, right, and there's been games with Arsenal sold out all the time, whatever country you go to. I've seen Chelsea in the same thing; it ain't been sold out. Chelsea are big, right? Chelsea are big. Oh, who's the other team? You said Fulham. Nowhere near. Fulham. And Tottenham are nowhere near. Tottenham are nowhere near Arsenal. That's facts, come on.
Right.
Who do you support anyway? Yeah. Chelsea, yeah, that's what he said. What do you think? Do you think Chelsea are a bigger club than Arsenal?
Yeah.
Why? Based off of just the fact that you won the European Cup? Twice. So that makes you... Sorry? The night in Baku, you beat us. Yeah, but what about the recent trips to Wembley? I mean, I seriously, like, Chelsea have emerged, but I just think, like, Arsenal, traditionally a much bigger club than Chelsea. That's my opinion. I think, and I think factually, if you look at it, it's got more. There's more fans. We've got a bigger stadium than you. We get more fans in every week. We've got a bigger worldwide fan base. That's my opinion. And we beat you 5-0 last week.
Right at the back.
Hello, Robbie.
Right.
What's your opinion on the Saka versus Foden debate?
This season, Foden's been better. I think they're very equally matched, but I had an argument with Rio Ferdinand because he was saying that Foden's world class and Saka's not. Huh?
I listened to the podcast.
All right. If Foden... No, thanks for that, thanks. Not dissing you. Listen, if Foden's world class, so is Saka, is what I said to Rio, right? Foden's a great player, but look at Saka's numbers, not just this year, which his numbers are great again. Consistently over the years, he's been brilliant. For England, he was voted England's Player of the Year 2 years in a row. As a youngster, what he's come in and done, he was carrying Arsenal for a couple of years. You know what I mean? I think he's been exceptional. But I do like Foden. I think Foden's a great player as well. This is like Foden's breakthrough season this year.
This is true. But do you think Saka could do what Foden did against Real Madrid?
Of course. He's done it. He's done it in the World Cup. He's done it in the Euros.
I don't know. Because if Saka played for City, I think that it would be.
No, but if we look at like international level, he's done way more than what Phil Foden's done. So you know you can balance it up in that. And remember, he's only just come into the Champions League this season because it's the first year Arsenal have been in it for ages. So Saka's an unbelievable player, but so is Foden. They're both great players. I'm obviously going to back Saka. He's my guy. So you know.
Bloke in front.
James Collingwood. First, I want to ask sort of the most pressing question of the evening.
All right.
Found expressions.
Sorry?
Have you found
we still ain't found expressions, man. He's still missing, man. You know what I mean? I've looked everywhere, right? Like many Tottenham fans, they've just disappeared. You know what I mean? They had so much mouth last week, and then now I can't find none of them. You know what I mean? So if you've seen him, let me know.
I just want to ask a bit more about DR Sport. So you've alluded to it in a couple of questions about where you see the future of sort of fan TV and fan channels going. What would your ultimate ambition be? Because you know I watch the weekend roundup every week. It's a laugh a minute, but if you got something like that on TV, would you not think it would become a bit more sanitised? You wouldn't have sort of Matisse bringing out fish.
No, but if I put it on TV, it would still be the same. I wouldn't want it to be sanitised. And the beauty of it is that nowadays, it doesn't have to necessarily be on TV. We're actually talking to some TV people at the moment, actually, about some of those shows. But that's not for it to move to TV. That's for it to also be on TV. But yeah, I mean, DR Sports, I've said from day one that I actually think it's going to be bigger than AFTV eventually, with some of the plans I've got for it. I love the fact that there's so much brilliant contributors on it, creators on it. Like Weekend Roundup's a great example. Like Flex, AGT, Abby, Matisse. They're all brilliant. And then Expressions, and just so many I just love working with so many football fans of other teams. Absolutely love it, and I just see the potential for it. It's just the ceiling for it is really, really high. I mean, I guess when you do AFTV, obviously it's Arsenal, it's Arsenal based, but with DR Sports, we can do all sports, we can do all football. And yeah, there's just some great. I mean, I love Raul, the Real Madrid fan. He's absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm really excited about the future on DR Sports, and KG. That's another guy who's brilliant. His phone-ins, the phone-ins that we've started with him, and I think our phone-ins are brilliant. The way that we allow you to come in video from anywhere around the world. I mean, I don't think anybody else is doing that sort of stuff at the moment. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future for DR Sports. And there's many other sports we're still going to be doing as well. Like we've been doing some boxing and F1 and stuff like that on it as well. But yeah, I'm really excited for the future of DR Sports. Thank you.
Blake on that.
James Moffat, University College. I was just wondering what you thought about the ticketing system and whether it needs to be reformed. Because you said about Chelsea not selling out, but the issue we have is that bots flood the website as soon as it goes live and buy all the tickets and put them on resale sites, so then they never get sold, which is why we have empty seats.
You sure? It's bots now, right? A lot of bots, right? No, you're right. Listen, the ticketing system, even at Arsenal this year, we had a lot of problems with ticketing. A lot of people moaning about, they brought in a new system, a lot of people moaning about it. Ticketing's a really difficult area. I mean, I do, what you're saying there, that I don't think we get as much of an issue with that at Arsenal. I think the tickets are being sold to the right people on the whole. Although I meet so many fans every week at games that have been ripped off. It's really bad. Fans that have come from abroad and have said to me, "Oh, Robbie, I've come from, I don't know, America, and got here, I paid £500 for my ticket, was supposed to meet a person to pick it up, and there was no one there." Every week people are getting ripped off. It's really, really bad. And then there's the ticketing system in general. It's a really hard one because, teams like Chelsea, teams like Arsenal, everybody wants to go and watch them. How do you create a fair system that rewards the fans that go all the time, but then also gives a chance for the people who don't get a chance to go but would love to go? It's a really, really, really difficult conundrum for the clubs. I was saying the other day, away games, for instance, you get a limited amount of tickets. So Arsenal yesterday at Spurs, 3,500 of tickets we get to that game. If you're a young Arsenal fan, your chances of getting one of them tickets are really, really tough, because they're going to go to older guys like me who've been going for years and years and years, who have built up enough credits in that we can get those tickets. But as much as I love that, because I want to be at all those games, is it fair on a young Arsenal fan, say in his 20s, who loved to go to that game, but just was never going to have those credits? So how do we you know, how do we negotiate? How do we sort that out? It's a really tough one. It's a really tough one because, you know, you'll have some of these fans say, well, listen, I was going to watch Arsenal versus Tottenham when it wasn't fashionable to do so, or when we weren't doing so well. Now everybody wants to. So the ticketing thing is a really tough thing. I mean, definitely with that, what you're saying with bots and that, something needs to be done with that, because, as I said, so many fans get ripped off week in, week out. And how can it be that, you know, you'll have somebody who will all of a sudden have like 20 tickets for sale? How's he done that, you know? So I do understand where you're coming from, but the whole ticketing system, I think, is an issue at every top Premier League team.
Zachary Trust, how have you sort of managed to, you know, with your personal life and AFTV, sort of been able to like take a step back sometimes if it's got too hard? Like, how have you, you know, managed this?
A step back from what? You mean?
Like, if it gets too hard, like AFTV, like, I don't know if it has had like a big effect on your personal life.
Yeah, listen, I'm always really busy. I'm trying to like learn to relax more and to have more time to myself. It's not always easy when you're running a business, but yeah, you do have to try to have days when it's, you know, you can take a day off, or you can relax, because it can be really stressful, especially in this sort of social media business where like everybody's always firing at you for various different things. So yeah, it's not easy. But I try to make an effort now to, like, say, take a day off for myself, or, you know, put the phone down for an hour, put the phone down or whatever for a bit, and just sort of just de-stress, you know. But it's not always easy, I have to be honest. Yeah.
Right at the back again.
Hi, Sonny from St. Andrews College. With the scrapping of the FA Cup replays and the impact of COVID, and also the factors such as, you know, the Premier League being so massive and lots of people from smaller towns starting to flock towards the big Premier League clubs, do you think there's a risk that some of the teams in the lower leagues might go, you know, bust, and we might not have a 92 pyramid anymore, which is such an integral part of the sport, and they only have a, say, a Premier League 1 or Premier League 2, and then, you know, that's it in terms of how many clubs actually can sustain themselves and be profitable?
Yeah, listen, I do think that the Premier League has a responsibility to all the other clubs in the pyramid. You know, the one thing about English football is, like you said, you know, I mean, right down the line, there's just so many clubs, and those clubs have their well, you know, they got their support and they're well supported, but they don't have the big TV revenues and stuff like that. And I do think that, you know, the teams in the Premier League that are making mega money do have a responsibility to keep those clubs alive, and also to help grassroots football as well. My son plays grassroots football. I'm out with him literally every week, like 2-3 times a week, taking him training, taking him to games. And so I'm quite passionate about the grassroots football, and sometimes I see some things and I think we need to do that better. Like, there's not enough pitches, like 3G pitch, 4G pitches. There needs to be more of those, and when we do build them, they need to be accessible to everybody, so that if somebody wants to practice or whatever, they can play, because those are the kids that are going to come through to be in the Premier League. So the Premier League has a responsibility as the main league, as the league that makes all the big money, to help grassroots football and help to, you know, help those lower leagues to still keep a good standards, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I think it's really, really important. So I'm in agreement with you on that.
Sort of, oh, yeah, just over there. Yeah.
Considering that, of course, you guys were top of the league for 93% of the season last season, and if you guys fail to win the league this season, do you think Arteta should stay or go, or why?
We were top of the league for 90% of the season?
Yeah, last season.
Oh, last season?
Last season, yeah. Considering that, and of course the fact that you've been in the title race this season as well, if you guys fail to win the league, do you think Arteta should stay or go?
Stay. If we don't win the league this season, he should 100% stay. We're challenging. What? He's shaking his head. We're challenging for the league. Who do you support?
We don't talk about that. We don't need to talk about that.
I need to know, man. I need to know who you support. Who do you support?
I'm saying I'm about to say it.
No, but I'm answering you. All right, I'm going to ask you. I'll answer your question. For 7-8 years, Arsenal have been nowhere near challenging the league. Not even close. And for the last 2 seasons, right, we've challenged to win the league. We got beaten last season by the team that went on to win the treble. They won everything in Europe. They won the Champions League, they won the FA Cup, they won everything. They then went on to win the Super Cup, they won everything, right? So that was what we was up against, and he challenged for the league. And then last season, loads of people said, oh, well, if Arsenal don't win it this year, they've got no chance again. Chelsea are coming back. United are going to spend loads of money. But who's challenging for the league again? Arsenal again with Man City. I think he's doing a brilliant, brilliant job, right? So for me, if he doesn't win it this year, right, he's done a brilliant... we're going to win it eventually, I feel, because he's building a side, and he's built a side that is competitive to win the league. How many seasons have I seen Arsenal? Like, by the time we get to, like, February, that's it. That season's over. He's doing a fantastic job. Now I need to know who you support. Please tell me, man. No. I've answered your question. Who do you support? Please. Who?
We just won the Super.
Leicester City. All right. Congratulations, you're back in the Premier League.
We just won the championship.
Congratulations, you're back in the Premier League. Why would you get rid of him then? You sound like you'd get rid of him. Why would you? Huh?
I'm saying that if you guys fail to win the league, you should look.
Do you know how hard it is to win the league? You should know. It's hard. You won the league and then you got relegated after that. That's how hard it is. It's hard to win it. It's really, really hard to win it. You got Pep Guardiola there with Man City. He's an unbelievable manager. He's the best manager probably of all time. It's hard to win the league. You got Liverpool, right? You're up against. You've got all the other teams have spent. Chelsea spent over £1 billion and nowhere near the league. Right? Manchester United have spent huge amounts of money last season, nowhere near it. We're challenging. I think the guy's doing a great job. I really do. If he doesn't win it this year, he went all the way and he failed to win it. But I'm not changing my manager because I'm looking at the other managers around. You know, who are Liverpool bringing in the Slot? How do we know that he's done well in the Dutch league, but we don't know what he's going to do? We're well placed, I feel, with Mikel Arteta to go on and win a league, right? And it's not... Huh? Am I what, sorry? Listen, we're knocking on the door, right? We're knocking on the door right now, and beforehand, we were nowhere near it. That's the facts. We were nowhere near winning the league, right? And now we're knocking on the door, right? So to me, if he doesn't win it this year, we go again next year. He's doing a great job. He's made some great signings. All of the signings that he's made, Havertz has been a successful signing. Trossard's been a brilliant signing. Declan Rice has been a brilliant signing. Urian Timber, had he not got injured, would have been a brilliant signing. The guy's moving in the right direction. He's getting things right. He said when he come in, he goes, I'm going to bring the players closer to the fans. There's going to be a better relationship between the players and the fans. He's done that. You go to the Emirates, right? That used to be a place that the atmosphere was poor 3, 4, 5 years ago. When you go in there now, that is one of the best atmospheres in the Premier League. I know, I go to every game in the Premier League, right? So he's doing things right. He's getting close to winning the league. If he doesn't do it this year, he's got Arsenal back in the Champions League, something that we weren't in for about 7 years. He is doing a fantastic job. So, and I think, it'd be crazy if Arsenal got rid of Mikel Arteta. Absolutely crazy right now. So I'm more than happy with him.
Okay, next question. At the back.
Hi Robbie, is Crucial Robbie going to be making a comeback? And what's your favourite track on Crucial Views?
Well, no, I'm not making a comeback. Crucial Robbie was my name in the reggae days, by the way. But nah, listen, that time's done, man. You know what I mean? I loved it. I had a lot of fun. My favourite track on the album is Proud to Be Black, because that was a tune that was a massive, massive hit for me in those days. So, but listen, my time in that industry's gone. You know what I mean? There's much better artists, much younger artists. Music games are a game that, you know, the next group, the next younger guys come along and they're doing their thing. So, but I enjoyed it. I loved it when I was doing it, man. It was great. Maybe if we win the league, maybe I'll make a tune or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, final couple of questions. Not my chair, the one behind. Yeah, you.
Hi Robbie, what made you first start to support Arsenal? Was it like family or perhaps
Yeah, family, my cousins, man. My cousins took me along, and they took me along, man, I was hooked. That was it. And then, yeah, that's it. There's no science behind it. A lot of, you know, you speak to so many fans and it's like, oh, my dad took me, or this person took me and I went to a game, and that was it. You know, I was hooked. The atmosphere, the players, the kit, everything. That was it. No other club for me after that.
Next question. In the middle there. Yeah.
Hi, Elliot from Married. What advice would you give for someone who wants to get into kind of the career you're in, either in social media or in football in general?
I always say consistency. Obviously, first of all, you've got to have a good idea and of what you want to do, etc. But once you've come with your idea, once you've decided on what you want to do, you've got to be. I think it's very important in this space that you're consistent, because you might make a good bit of content and people enjoy it, and then they're like, well, what's next? So if you're not making consistent content and you're not consistently creating good stuff, it's not going to work. So I think consistency is really, really important in this industry.
And final question, there on the right front.
You know, Asher at Hatfield College. What do you reckon are the best and worst predictions that you've ever made?
Ooh, the best and worst. No, I've made a lot, you know. I've made a lot. I mean, there's the one when I said I'm not sure if Kevin De Bruyne is world class. That one has been haunting me for a long time. That I've been getting reminded about a lot. And the thing is, people take it out of context. So I weren't saying it like I was just saying. I was saying that I think he's world class, but I was kind of questioning it because I was saying he's never really done it at international level. So is he world class? I was sort of saying it like that. But you know what social media's like? They take it. And then I remember I went when we played Man City. Every time I go there, all the fans are. So De Bruyne is not world class. Then he's not world class. Oh, no, all right, he is. So that's that's definitely my worst one. My best one. Ooh. Do you know what? About a few weeks ago, I did like about 5 different predictions over a period of about 4 or 5 weeks, and I got every single one of them right. Like, I can't pick out a specific best one. I remember we won the FA Cup, and we had Man City in the semi-final, and we had Chelsea in the final, and I confidently predicted that Arsenal would win it, and everybody laughed at me, because at that time we wasn't playing that great, and we did. We beat both of them, and we won the final. So that's probably one of my best ones. But yeah, I made some horrible ones as well. You know, as I said earlier, I predicted England were going to win the World Cup. That went up in flames. So let me predict that Arsenal won't win the Premier League, and you never know. Maybe that one comes through. And if that one does come through, I'm coming back to Durham for a party, man. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Robbie, for trekking all the way up to Durham to come and speak to us. Great turnout tonight. And so could everyone join me in another round of applause for Robbie Lyle?